Joined now by Ashley Koning. She is well, you know what, Ashley, I already forgot your title. So you do something with polling. I forgot. But Ashley's an expert at Rutgers. Ashley, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So there's a lot going on. In all seriousness, with this potential government shutdown, I feel like I've been reading so much about it, and it feels like the odds of this potentially happening in part, so a partial shutdown, could be very likely come the end of the week. And if you can explain why, because we know and remember quite well what happened just a couple months ago when it did go shut down.
Yeah, it seems like we are always facing or about to go in a shutdown these days. And this, of course, is predominantly over ICE. Democrats were discussing today internally, and we're supposed to see a vote tomorrow as to what may happen. And we could be facing a partial shutdown over ICE funding as early as Saturday. And so this means a number of agencies and departments will be shut down, although ICE will be able to continue given the kind of slush fund that Republicans were able to pull together over a multi-year period for ICE. So even though this discussion is over ICE and a possible shutdown over ICE, they still have plenty of money to be able to move forward.
It's interesting because I remember us talking about this when the government reopened. And a last ditch effort was at the end of October, I want to say, or the beginning of November. I don't remember quite when that last happened, but when it did, I remember them saying, but January's right around the corner, and this
Right.
is only funding it up until that point. What is your prediction of how that vote's going to go tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we actually see politicians on both sides of the aisle very dismayed and unhappy with what, to say the least, to what has been going on. And so, we know that Republicans will need Democrats in order to pass the funding bill. And Democrats seem that they are definitely, as of right now, holding to their stipulations, particularly over ICE before giving over the votes. Things that include banning masks for ICE officers, judicial warrants for immigration arrests, mandating that federal agents identify themselves. So there are a number of demands that Democrats want to make this time around. And it looks like they will shut the government down if those demands are not met.
Yeah, and it's interesting if those demands will be met. It may be unlikely, even though there is. And do you think that this helps that there is some de-escalation in Minnesota now? That could help the cause there.
I mean, I think that still remains to be seen given we're coming off of two completely tragic deaths in
Hmm.
Minnesota. And I think that is still fueling a significant part of the anger. And I don't necessarily think Democrats, at least right now, those in the Senate, are backing off because of any apparent quelling or easing within Minnesota. This is a problem in Minnesota and nationwide that they would like to address.
Do you think, Ashley? Now, we remember the government shutdown just a couple of months ago, a prolonged one. Do you think that we could see something this prolonged? And if you could talk about the ramifications, so when a government even partially shuts down, what that means for the American public.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point in terms of how long this can possibly last. And we know the last time around, it was really because we did see Democrats finally give in into one of their sticking points on healthcare. We know the incredibly tense relationship between the White House and the Democrats in Congress. And this becomes very difficult in terms of finding ways to negotiate. Now, John Thune has told Democrats that they should take it up with the White House themselves, but that seems like a really tenuous situation. So it could mean that we're in for another notable shutdown, which of course means lack of benefits, as we saw last time for a multitude of people across the country. And this means that important places like various departments are going to go without funding for a period of time.
Yeah, and we remember when the federal workers were not getting their checks, they went to half a paycheck, then it was no paycheck, and the air traffic controllers, that was a huge strain on our FAA and getting our flights. That came at holiday time. So, I mean, that's the last thing anybody wants to go through. Do you see them coming together on any of these issues? Because obviously ICE is a really divisive issue, especially coming off those two deaths.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out more tomorrow with this vote and see where it leads. Obviously President Trump has expressed some kind of mediating factors in this after this second tragic death. But I think we don't know quite yet if there will actually be some term of agreement between Democrats and Republicans and Democrats in the White House on this.
Yeah. Anything else, Ashley, that we didn't touch on tonight that you wanted to talk about regarding the shutdown and the ice fallout?
Yeah, I think we talked about it, but I think it's just important to note that even with this shutdown, it doesn't mean ICE is going to can be completely stopped or completely banned or completely resolved for the Democrats because they do have this funding from the big beautiful bill to keep on going. So, it's an issue of trying to quell or to ease funding for ICE in terms of instead of completely abolishing it.
Yeah. It's not good all around, I guess, because who gets hurt are the people, the public, the American public who relies on the government to work for us. So that's the sad part about it. So hopefully we can avoid a shutdown and something can be agreed upon. Ashley Koning from Rutgers, we thank you for joining us tonight here on
Thank you
Newsroom
so much.
Live.